Would you pick Murray and Jokic over any one of those duos? I wouldn't. And that's why I can't have faith, and that's why I'm concerned about the Nuggets.
You sitting here and saying Nikola Jokic is having his numbers padded? Is that what you're saying?
You heard what the hell I said. I said he had 8 games where he had single-digit shot attempts.
When you reach a high status in your profession, you are going to get a lot more attention than the others who are doing less than you. The attention itself is going to bring a lot of fans who admire you and the stuff you are doing, but also some haters. Older guys who did less in their careers than what you have been doing are more likely to hate on you than give you praise. That is the case with the relationship between Nikola and Kendrick Perkins. Nikola Jokic has reached a level of greatness that not many players have been able to. Matter of fact, a very little number of players have reached the status that Nikola has right now. A Finals MVP and an NBA champion, a 2-time regular season NBA MVP, as well as a 5-time All-NBA player. All of that by the age of 28. On the other hand, Perkins was a role player during his playing days. He had a decent career, playing 14 seasons in the NBA, having his glory days as a Boston Celtic where he was part of the 2008 championship squad. He was an above-average rim defender and a decent rebounder. However, his career averages of 5.4 points and 5.8 rebounds per game don't speak a whole lot. He was considered to be a great teammate, but that's about it. Not to relativize his success in the NBA, but nobody in their right mind would put Perkins and Nikola in the same category. Not even a sentence, probably, if it wasn't for Kendrick's hate comments about Nikola. We are going to go through his statements history about the Joker, starting with some of his older takes and covering it up with his most recent argument about how Nikola is not the top offensive player in today's NBA. In the 2022 NBA season, Nikola was part of the top 3 candidates for the NBA MVP award, alongside the Process from Philadelphia and the Greek Freak. While the two of them had amazing seasons, many people believe that Nikola deserved to win the MVP award over them. In the end, the Process ended up winning it, and rightfully so, as he did have an amazing regular season. Some people may think that he deserved to win the MVP. Others may think that the Joker should have won it, and that would probably be a discussion for a very long time, as both players have their fair share of both fans and haters who have strong opinions about them. But that's what makes following basketball interesting, as there will always be debates about who is greater than who. However, where things get out of hand is when the reason behind your opinion is backed up by some racist motives. That is what most people seem to think was the case when Perkins commented on why Nikola doesn't deserve to win the 2022 NBA MVP and why he favored other players than him. Since the 1990 NBA season, there have been 3 players that have won the NBA MVP without being top 10 in scoring: Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, and Nikola. What do these guys have in common? I'll let it sit there and marinate, Perkins said. When it comes down to moving the goalposts for certain individuals to win it, again, is it Uchi Wally or is it One Mike? What song are we actually dancing to right now? Why is this subject not brought up? This was an interesting comparison, to say the least. It got its fair share of criticism as it rightfully deserved to. Racist comments are not welcome anywhere, let alone on national television. This was a completely wrong way of argumenting about your opinion. These comments were not to be expected whatsoever in terms of the racist background. However, it was expected from Perkins to hate on Nikola, because he did that just a week prior as well. He criticized Joker for stat padding and brought up Russell Westbrook's MVP award and the way fans were hating on Russ for his supposed stat chasing. The two players' cases are very different from one another. But first, let's quote Kendrick Perkins. As this MVP conversation goes on, the players know what their stats are. Just remember, we used to have this energy for Russell Westbrook when we would see Steven Adams boxing out, and he used to fly in to get these rebounds when Steven Adams could have easily jumped up and grabbed them. We don't see that same energy for Nikola. And let me tell you something else. Do you know that there were 8 games this season where Jokic had single-digit shot attempts? Not shots made, shot attempts. So, you are telling me your best player on the floor, the guy that has the ball in his hands at all times, has 8 games where he has single-digit shot attempts. Make that make sense to me. And do you know why I say that? Because 25-30 games into the season, he was around 9.5, 9.8 per game. And then all of a sudden, he started searching for them assists to get them above 10. So don't come at me and talk to me about no triple doubles. Once he got closer to those 10 assists per game, you saw how his shot attempts went down and how his points per game went down as well. This was somewhat to be expected, the media accusing Nikola of stat padding. While Nikola is playing well into the system of the Nuggets offense and is the key contributor to the team's success, Kendrick Perkins still found a way to disregard all of that and accuse Nikola of stat chasing, while he is also criticizing Redick for judging players off of stats and not the eye test. Well, if you go back to the eye test and watch a Nuggets game, it is very obvious that Nikola doesn't try to find another guy to score just so he can get an assist, but does it, so the team ends up getting the best possible shot off. He is a 7-foot big man, so rebounds come easier to him, so we'll leave them out, as to be fair, Kendrick didn't mention them either. But if you watch a Nuggets game and analyze how Nikola's playing on offense, it wouldn't take long for you to notice what his priorities are. Getting the best possible shot for the most open guy on the court. He often throws passes ahead of his teammates, creating a shot opportunity from seemingly nothing. That is not stat-chasing perk, and both Stephen A. and Redick explained it very well to you. The way that Nikola is playing helps the Nuggets win while having a top 5 offensive rating in the 2022 NBA season. He doesn't force shots and doesn't force passes either. He is the leader of a very well-orchestrated Nuggets offense, and he is doing that by providing high IQ basketball plays, which is very different from chasing stats. The most recent take from Perkins about Nikola was when Perkins discussed who were his top 5 offensive players in the NBA. He had Jason Tatum at number 5 and the process at number 4. Fair enough. But what was surprising was what came after. He had Nikola at number 3, behind Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. Let's not get it twisted. Both KD and Steph are all-time amazing at what they do, especially when they were in their prime. Kevin Durant is a 4-time scoring champion and the youngest to achieve that as well. Steph, on the other hand, is unanimously the greatest shooter ever, and also the only unanimous regular season MVP in NBA history. They are both great. Even more than great for that matter, but they are both 35 years old. And while they are still doing an amazing job getting buckets, it is disrespectful to put them ahead of Nikola. First of all, let's get one thing straight. Offense is more than just scoring. Even if it was in last year's playoffs, Nikola outscored Durant in their matchup in the Western Conference semifinals. While KD had a great series, averaging 29.5 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 5.7 assists, the Joker was playing out of his mind as well. Joker finished the series with a whopping 34.5 points, 13.2 rebounds, and 10.2 assists per game average, while of course winning the series. Shout out to KD for the great series, but Nikola outperformed him in each of those categories. Meanwhile, Steph did end the playoffs with 0.5 points per game more than Nikola, but he did a lot less with the rebounds and assists. And of course, the most important part, winning. Nikola led his team to the championship. This season, both Kevin Durant and Steph Curry are ahead of Nikola on the top scorers list, but neither of them is in the top 10 in assists or rebounds like the Joker is. Not to take anything away from Steph and KD, they are both all-time great players, but so is Nikola, and he is in his prime years. Not to mention that the Joker doesn't even play at his highest level in the regular season, which is very visible from the eye test and not just stats alone. While Kendrick Perkins likes to talk down on Joker, Nikola seems to enjoy it even more when he proves him wrong. Shortly after Perkins' comments about Nikola's quote-unquote stat padding, Nikola achieved his 100th career triple-double. When asked about the feeling behind such a milestone, Joker smiled and said that it is way easier when you are stat padding. That's how great players should deal with criticism. Criticism is part of the media's job, but it can easily get out of hand when you get into your feelings like Perkins did. Once you get there, it is hard to come back on the right track. No matter what Perkins says about Nikola in the future, and no matter how positive it may be, he will always have the Nikola hater label on him. Something similar to the love story of Skip and LeBron James. When you have such great talent in front of you and a chance to watch him perform at the highest level, it's a shame to blind yourself with hatred instead of admiration. Nikola is an all-time great NBA player, and his legacy is only going to be cemented even more as time goes on. He is still only 28 years old and about to enter his prime as a player. So instead of criticizing Nikola just for the sake of saying something bad about him, let's enjoy watching his greatness. This is not applicable to only Nikola, but about every other player out there. Forget about criticism for a moment and enjoy witnessing greatness.